welcome to Liquid Lunch. It's me, Hugh, and it's Wednesday, November 6, 2013. We're starting a little bit early today because we got a really fantastic show. I'm just going to tell you who's coming on the show first of all before we get started with Tamara, who's sitting with me here. Dr. Eric Pearl's going to be on the show today. We're going to be talking about reconnective healing and all that kind of stuff. And you know about Eric, right?
Absolutely.
Tamara? Meredith Shaw's also going to be here. She's a singer-songwriter. And we're going to be talking about her. We've got a couple of videos we're going to play from her. Looking forward to that. Kevin Annett is visiting from Vancouver. You know, he's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Cool.
And we're going to be talking about the residential schools and all that kind of stuff. Sean Dalton will also be here talking about Quebec's Charter of Values. But we're going to start the show off. And Rose is going to be my co-host. She might even be in the building right now. I'm not sure. But Tamara's here. Tamara, welcome to the show. Mm-hmm. And great to have you on.
Thank you very much. I'm always delighted to be invited.
Well, okay, so let's just settle in it and have a good discussion here because we're talking about rebirthing today, and that's what you do, right?
Well, yes, I do. And you know, yesterday somebody called me and said, you know, I've been really put off by the name rebirthing. It has, you know, sort of like born-again Christian connotations.
Yeah.
Well, the idea of rebirthing is that you are reborn to yourself in a new way. The possibility of being new and fresh with a lot of the past being over is really valuable. So it's been called by many names: rebirthing, transformational breath work, spiritual breathing, energy breathing, you name it. It's had other names, but the work is really basically still the same.
Okay, so now I'm going to say, because yesterday I was over at your place and I had a rebirthing session. Not my first one, I think my third one, right?
Third, yeah.
And I was thinking though, and I've been kind of processing that for like 24 hours now, and one of the things I was thinking about was that it's really not rebirthing. I was thinking like, I don't know if it, like, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking it's really a breathing thing, and I don't know if it is
a breathing thing.
A rebirthing, like I'm not sure why it's called rebirthing.
How does your body feel?
Today?
Yeah.
You mean after my session yesterday? Yeah. My body, in fact, all through the night, it's been feeling, my body physically has been feeling really good. I feel like can I tell you? Because
of course you tell me. I really want you to tell the truth.
Okay, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit because I was also getting ready for Dr. Eric Pearl, who's coming on the show later, and I was reading his books, right? So throughout the night...
You had a lot going on.
I felt like I was clearing a lot of phlegm and stuff from my system. Okay. And I always, through the night, in my sort of half-dream
in and out
dream state, right. I was thinking, because, you know, finding a little about Eric Pearl and this healing, right, where it feels like there's actually people working on you, I was sort of thinking, gee, are people working on me throughout the night, you know, trying to heal as well, and how is that related to the rebirthing session that I did with you yesterday? Well,
a lot of it depends, you know, techniques are techniques, and anybody can apply techniques. Mm-hmm. But what really is valuable is the person who is there facilitating. If people have done their own work, if they're pretty clear, they can pull in energy that is really powerful. Often I've been accused of, I said to somebody, I just went to get you a little cup of tea, and they said, oh no, I could feel you in the room. Mm-hmm. Because there are many things that are at work that we see and that we don't see. Having said that, this is a very practical way of accessing things that are unresolved in all the systems, okay? Mm-hmm. Bringing it up, it's like peroxide to a wound. Uh-huh. Put peroxide on, bubbles it up, and leave something clean and clear when it's finished. Now, you've had 3 sessions, yes. Okay? But they haven't been ongoing, as I encourage people to do, once a week. If people can't manage it, once every 2 weeks. And what happens is So you clear some stuff and then it builds again, and you clear some stuff and it builds again. But if you do ongoing work, it really gets to the root of what's going on, not just a little tickle. I gave you the analogy of what happens when you go through any process of healing, but particularly this one, is it's like a beaker of water, and you've got sediment at the bottom.
Yeah.
And what you do is you turn on the tap, and the sediment starts to get activated, like you get activated when you're doing the breathing work. And so you have a couple of choices, but not really. You can choose to withdraw and say, oh no, I've let a few things go, or you can continue under the tap with the water until the beaker of water is clear. And that's what one hopes will occur with rebirthing.
Oops, Rose is just coming into the
Come on, Rose,
studio.
we're waiting
Come on,
for
Rose. You can come on over here. I got water for you over here. We had to start early.
Okay. Right.
So
that's really what it is. It's
Yeah.
basically people making a decision dedicated to their transformation, dedicated to moving through some of the things that affect all of us. Most people, feelings of safety, of fear, of not being wanted, of being the wrong person. Hi. And so all of these things affect us. Okay. Oh, where's my puppy?
what?
My puppy
I didn't
fell
bring
off.
My puppy yet.
Yes,
My
I have
puppy
a
fell off.
tendency of doing that.
Yeah, I know.
I just retrieved mine from
Oops.
the floor.
Okay.
Okay. Are you sure that wasn't mine?
Here.
No.
No.
See, there's Rose. We got to adjust the cameras, but there she is. Okay, so we're talking.
Well,
you know-
let me move closer.
no,
Then
no,
we
you
don't have.
stay where you are, Tamara.
okay.
We got it all set up for you. So we're talking about rebirthing with Tamara here.
Breath work. Have you ever done it?
No, but you and I have run into each other a few times.
We have? Where?
Yes. There was going to be a session once, but then it didn't. Take
Didn't
place.
happen. Oh, okay.
Well, I just had one yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. My third session.
Oh.
Look,
Yeah.
now look
I
at
hope
his.
I haven't missed.
You haven't missed much.
Okay.
No, I haven't missed much.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we all have stuff. I mean, one of the first things I say to people when they come to see me is, why have you come?
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out what some of the patterns are that they're running. What's the worst thought you have about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
What was your relationship like with your parents?
Mm-hmm.
What was your birth scenario like? Because birth has a very significant part in the lives that we lead.
Oh, I'm getting a call
Oh,
tomorrow.
it sounded like my phone. Oh, I'm thinking, oh my God. Okay. So, the way you're born has a direct relationship to relationships that you have in your life. For example, somebody who might have been a forceps delivery, people are, and they're in relationship, sometimes they have to be cajoled, encouraged, moved into the relationship because that was their first experience of being in the physical body outside of the womb.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
What if somebody doesn't know the circumstances of their birth?
Good question. Sometimes they get it in rebirthing sessions. They go deep enough and I guide them into having a look at what might have happened. It happens a lot with people who are adopted. And I have an extremely large number, a disproportionately large number of adopted clients because they want to know, where did I come from? I had loving parents, my adopted parents, but somehow they want to know the big picture. And rebirthing deals with a lot of big pictures. Birth scenario, parental disapproval syndrome, specific biggies. Other lifetimes come into it. But you know what? If any other lifetime was more important than this one, you'd still be there. Okay? And all of us, virtually without exception, have something called a death urge. How many people have said to you, well, death and taxes are inevitable, so you believe that. Well, my philosophy is that life is inevitable. As immortals, we know that life is inevitable.
Oh, here we go with the immortality.
I didn't bring it up.
Yes, you did.
Okay, well,
You
forget
brought it up.
Well,
I'm
that's
wearing the
just
rings.
that's just
tomorrow.
part. That's just part of the whole scenario. There's also, there's also religious trauma, school trauma, religious trauma. Have a look at what some people tell their children. You see the guy up on the cross there? You misbehave and we'll hammer you, baby. I mean, people grow up with a lot of fear. So what we want to do is to get people to be more of who they truly are, with a lot of these things vibrated out of the system. And the way it's done is through the breath. The breath and awareness.
Tamara, can I backtrack on something
Sure.
you just said a moment ago?
Sure.
Which was that if any past life was more relevant than the one we're in now, we would still be there. Is the implication there then that when any life ceases to be relevant to our soul growth, we then pass on from it?
Yeah. That's
so
my
why
opinion.
do people
That's my
carry
opinion.
forward? Why do people
It might have
carry
come from other
forward then?
things. They might have completed one piece of the scenario, but there are other pieces to deal with. Or they may have created other things in that lifetime. We could even think about parallel existences.
Yes.
There's so much to think about. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I missed the beginning, and I
There wasn't much.
Really? All right. So I did. Did you go through the explanation of what are the rebirthing processes about?
No, I didn't, but I will.
Oh, okay.
Rebirthing, when people come to see me, I've given them a questionnaire before they come.
Yes.
Because there's no need for them to sit and fill out forms and this, that, and the other, and they need to think about it.
Yeah.
They need to think about, what was 3 things that I liked about my mom, 3 things that I disliked about my mom. Some people can't even write what they disliked or can't even write what they did like. And then when they come to see me, we go through this to have a look at what's running them. And I'm very highly intuitive, so sometimes I get stuff that other people may have missed, or they may have missed. I had a client not too long ago who was sent away from his parents for 2.5 years to grandparents. For some reason, the parents couldn't take care of him, and there was another sibling born. And after 2.5 years, when he was about 5.5, and the mother came to pick him up because they lived in different places in Europe. He didn't know his mother, and he has great difficulty trusting relationships. He gets into lovely relationships with people he really likes a lot, and yet he can't go deeply of himself into the relationship. I said to him, well, I can understand that. The first woman in your life that you were so intimate with was your mother. And she betrayed you. She abandoned you. And it was a huge piece that he was able to breathe through. And when he wrote up a little report on how his session went, he said, my relationship with my parents has changed dramatically because of the awareness.
So are the key words that you just said in that sentence, he was able to breathe through?
Because so when we've gone through the patterns, what happens is that people lie down and I guide them through conscious connected breathing. And, nose, mouth breathing depends on where I think that they're at. And eventually what happens is the cells, the energy of the body starts to vibrate, quite mysteriously. And what happens is it's almost like an orgasm. It builds, it peaks, and then it integrates. And what happens is that somehow the thought that was prevailing gets softer, or it evaporates. And you have a new awareness. You come to the situation very differently. And
So
sometimes
it
people have
vibrates
memories.
out of your system?
Yes.
So it's gone.
Ask him.
It's not only it
It's
doesn't
not
seem
just-
to disappear
It's
just
not
at
just
that
a
time.
cognitive thing.
Oh,
It's not just a cognitive thing. It's actually, it can be physical. Sometimes just identifying it can move it.
and would the person be able to call it back in
If they choose to.
if they're attached?
If they choose to, I work with the affirmation process. You know, an affirmation affirmations work because you learn to identify what it is about a particular situation and you imbue the positive opposite to the negative thought to create a desired result. For example, let's say one of my main thoughts was I was not wanted. Okay? I only discovered that when I was well into the rebirthing process, many years later, and we'll go back to the affirmation, but I just want to tell you how I identified it, was my partner at the time was going back to Ottawa, and as he was driving down the street, I got this terrible feeling that I was unwanted. That was not true of the relationship, but I just got that feeling. And I went home and I cried and for no apparent reason, and I started to rebirth myself and it eased the feeling. Sometime later when I visited with my sister in England, I said to her, do you think Mom and Dad didn't want a third child? She said, you know, I've never said anything, but Mom said that when Dad heard that Mom was pregnant for a third time, he was very upset. He didn't want a third child, but within no time at all, you know, everything was fine. But I got that thought, and it had been residing in my system all that time. Okay, so now, so if a person writes, I am not, let's say my thought was that I was not wanted. I would make the affirmation, I am wanted. And then I would have a response column because somewhere in the subconscious there are some thoughts about it. If I was really wanted, how come I have this feeling?
Yes.
And then you write the affirmation again. I am wanted. And so you keep doing it until there's a clearing. And you don't just do it one time. You do it for 7 days. And it produces a very strong desired effect.
7 days in terms of 7 consecutive daily
7
sessions
consecutive
with you?
days.
Or, okay.
No, not 7
Or at
consecutive
home,
days.
one-
It's homework.
Okay.
It's an assignment. Yeah. And you do that with your parents. You know, I, Rose, forgive my father completely. And the response might be nothing to forgive. And then I, Rose, forgive my father completely. And you say, he was a real shit. Oh, sorry. He was a real And so you start dumping, that's like the trash can of the mind. And eventually, what goes on is the affirmation reinstates itself into your system where anything that you might have had with your father seems to have dissolved.
And would that automatically then impact one's behavior patterns? Because often on the physical plane is a lot denser than the other planes, and there's a little bit of a lag effect. So does one's behavior change instantly? And if not, then is there a risk of calling that old behavior, calling back that old issue? calling
Okay,
it back
that's a
in?
good question. I don't know, it depends on you. Some people are willing to really surrender and let go, and others are so used to calling back the negative aspect, so they just have to do it for longer. Does that answer your question?
Well, I was wondering if if somebody is more aware, they would have an easier time of letting go
They
and
might
surrendering.
be. It depends on each person. Each person is so unique in terms of the things that influence them.
Okay, but going through the process of rebirthing and the 7-day affirmation process, repeating that for 7 days, does it ease that?
Yes, it
Or
does.
At least there's the potential.
Yes, it does. And there's always the potential for going back. But my experience is you don't go back quite at that level
Okay.
if you go back. And you catch your thoughts. The whole idea is awareness. You know, you want to shift consciousness, you become more aware of everything. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now, tomorrow we don't have that much time left.
Apparently not.
But
I want you to share with Rose some of the things that you did feel that were positive.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
you mean yesterday and
Yes.
today?
Yes.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Well, you know, I told somebody just last week, I said, you know, I've tried a lot of different modalities or whatever, and not much has an effect on me.
Okay.
That's honesty.
Except for
Yeah.
rebirthing, I said the rebirthing has some kind of an effect.
Some kind profound.
Well, I mean, it was definitely an experience, a little bit of a trip to another dimension or another reality or another, just a different experience yesterday, especially because I sort of lost, like I sort of, you know, kind of lost, not consciousness, but
You went into
I went
La La
into,
Land.
and then you rang those bells in my ears, and it totally changed my state instantly.
Brought you back into your body. But
I-
that's not a rebirthing thing. It was just
Well, whatever it was a profound experience. You know, certainly different. And when I was finished, I felt very kind of happy. And
could you go for that on an ongoing basis?
yeah, for sure.
Okay, just checking.
And so physically, I've been kind of, like I said, just feeling interesting in terms of my clearing phlegm and stuff like that. It's just something's going on. I'm not
So
sure what
phlegm
it
is congestion. Huh?
Yeah,
So stuck energy.
maybe something.
Something.
So that's how I feel, and it was a worthwhile experience yesterday. Now, let's briefly, I know you don't want to get into the immortality thing, but you went to Iceland with Sandra Ray.
I did.
Can you just tell us briefly about
Yeah,
that whole experience?
Sandra Ray, and her email is Immortal Ray, which is wonderful. That's she has something called liberation breathing, another name for breath work. But she wants to help people liberate themselves from physical density. Okay?
Right.
So for 5 out of the 7 days, we did water rebirthing with affirmation process. It was powerful. We had to identify 10 of our most negative thoughts and then reverse them with positive affirmation. And we did that while as part of the water rebirthing. It was a wonderful, powerful experience. And I recommend anybody who's really interested in going the next step comes with me next year, because I sure will go again. It was wonderful.
Are you doing it in Iceland again?
Absolutely. In the thermal waters.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful. And you know the thing that I noticed when I stepped off the plane, other than the fumes from the aeroplanes, was fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
It was fresh. The air was pristine. And the whole country is run by geothermal energy. Beautiful waterfalls, and we saw tectonic plates. And it was a real trip of a lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, when you say, I know we're wrapping up, but when you said that was about liberating oneself from physical density, what do you mean by that? Not
That is a big question, and we'll deal with it. We can deal with that another time.
Yeah.
Because I can feel he's
Yes.
anxious.
I,
It's a big topic.
That's because of my rebirthing session.
I'm assuming
My
you're meaning
emotions
not
are all stirred
vibrating
up.
out of this dimension.
Not necessarily, but with the potential of that.
What? That's James Redfield would think otherwise, perhaps.
Well, it's okay. I'm reading his book.
I know you had his book.
I know. I'm
Well, that's
enjoying it very much. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
One other thing.
Oh, yeah.
wait,
You
there
know,
was-
I just wanted to mention
I
that
know.
there is a workshop this weekend.
Of course, we need to know about that.
So Sunday, November the 10th, I'm doing a one-day workshop called Relationships, which means that most of the time we get denser and denser and denser, and we forget about our childlike elation, how to get excited about life, what's beautiful, what's wonderful, and that keeps our energy high. So that's what I'm doing. And what I'd like to offer your viewers is that if they call me, and will you put the number on the screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. That I'll give them the early registration fee, which is $199 instead of $250.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Good. And there are a few spaces left, which I'd be happy to fill.
All right. And okay, before you go, so they have to phone you to register
They
for
have
this?
to pre-register.
Did they have to do that by phone, or is there an email?
Well, there's an email address, which is breathe, BREATHE, at tamarapenn.com. It's very simple.
All right.
Is it an all-day workshop?
It's an
or-
all-day workshop from 10 till 5.
Okay.
And then go to your website too, tamarapenn.com.
Yes, and my website is tamarapenn.com.
All right, Tamara.
Thank you very
thanks
much.
for doing this.
Lovely.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Rose?
no, we got a really exciting show. You know,
We
so,
do.
Yeah, so
We already.
I already
it's
named
in
all the
progress.
guests, so just stay tuned, people.
Yes, you did.
We've got Dr. Eric Pearl coming on next, and I've got a little video here. First of all, Dr. Pearl's the author of What is Reconnective Healing, and I've got a video here that's going to kind of give people an introduction to it if they don't already know about it. And we're going to be back in a couple of minutes with Dr. Pearl
Thank
as
you.
Liquid Lunch continues.
Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you very much.
I'm not afraid to get dirt on my dress. Love isn't worth it unless it's a mess. And I could be wrong, but I could really care less. You're knocking me out. Yes. Come on, baby. Can't you feel me looking? Don't you give a damn? Come on, darling. I won't wait forever just because I can. Oh my. I'm about to let you do what you like. I said, oh my. Call me up to let me down. I'll call your name. We'll call it a night.